Alrighty everybody, welcome back. It is now June 1st of 2022. The third episode of the Kenobi TV series just aired, and a lot of Star Wars fans have been very excited about what was just unveiled in the actual episode. Of course, in this post we will be going into spoilers, so if you guys have not seen the latest Obi-Wan Kenobi episode, I do advise that you guys should back away from this actual video right now as we speak. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, it is greatly appreciated. Now, with the Kenobi TV series off to a pretty decent start, we had episodes 1 through 2 that debuted on May 27th, and today on June 1st, we finally got the third episode of the Kenobi TV series, giving us a full look at Darth Vader being reassembled, as well as more to do with the Inquisitors, and of course Obi-Wan Kenobi meeting some new characters. Now, we're going to be diving into some things that you did not know, and things that you missed related to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series Part 3, also known as Episode 3 or Chapter 3, whatever have you. And what Deborah Chow and of course Joby had to say about all of this that leads to all of the things that you did not know about the third chapter of the Kenobi TV series. Now, with that being said, of course, we know that the Kenobi show, as of this point right now, only has 3 episodes remaining. I know it's crazy to think that we're already halfway through the series, given that it is only a 6-part TV show for the time being, and of course we have a lot more Vader in stock for episodes 4 through 6, so keep your eyes open for that. Now, on top of all of this, we're going to be diving into what Deborah Chow and Joby had to say about a lot to do with the Kenobi series episode 3 highlights, basically the most important parts of the actual episode. Now, specifically, of course, on top of all of this, in a recent interview with both Deborah Chow and writer Joby, they went on to reveal some things that fans did not know about Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3, which just aired today. Director Deborah Chow went on to reveal, so yeah, in the beginning of this episode, where we have Vader literally being put together like Frankenstein, it was Hayden Christensen. We spent a total of 5.5 hours providing Hayden with the proper makeup and CGI preparation for the mechanics to be used on Vader. Believe it or not, we talked to George Lucas about this entire scene, and he was actually on set while we were creating this actual moment. George had told us to use some of his unused ideas that never made it to Star Wars Legends to be applied to this scene. We wanted to make this scene agonizing for Vader to show the fans the pain that he goes through. It took us a total of 10 takes to get this moment right with Hayden. Had George Lucas direct a couple of shots for the scene to really recapture that feeling that he gave fans with Revenge of the Sith. We had actually used some similar makeup techniques that George Lucas did with Hayden Christensen in Revenge of the Sith and applied it to this horrifying moment in the series. Now, let me just stop right here for a second of what Deborah Chow is saying. There's so much more after this, by the way. Deborah Chow is now confirming that George Lucas was indeed on set and even directed a couple of shots of that very moment where Vader is being put together like she calls Frankenstein. It's a very interesting thing that she does bring up, because when you look at, Hayden Christensen in both Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith and here in Episode 3 of the Kenobi series, it's both, of course, a moment where Vader is being built, and I'm not quite sure if that's a coincidence or not, but we have both Episode 3s showcasing that. So the Episode 3 film shows us this, and now the Episode 3 of the series shows us this exact moment. Except in this scenario, it's straight out of the comic books, and Deborah Chow actually did that all on purpose, believe it or not. So, beyond all of that and what Deborah Chow had to say, she goes on to reveal more about this actual scene with Joby and what they actually had to go through to really make it all happen. So she goes on to say this, of course, that we had actually used other similar makeup techniques that George Lucas also told us to use with Hayden, just as he did in Revenge of the Sith, and used that for this horrifying moment in Star Wars. Eventually, writer Joby began to state, it was probably one of the toughest scenes to work on. It took us the most amount of takes to get the right, of course, but Hayden was loving it. We also used some older set pieces from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, to be applied to the entire sequence with the Bacta tank and Vader being reassembled. Now, once we move forward a bit into this episode, we focus on the world of Nur. where Vader meets the Inquisitors. This was actually supposed to be the very opening of the original Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars movie, Joby Harold says, with the original scripts that we salvaged and wanted to use for Episode 3. However, in the original script for the film, the Grand Inquisitor was still around and alive at this point in time and was going to be involved in an argument with Vader. We used that scene as pure inspiration for the scene where Vader meets with the Inquisitors after the apparent demise of the Grand Inquisitor. Deborah Chow eventually began to reveal, so we had discussed about creating major connections to Rogue One, a Star Wars story, for a very long time. We took some parts of Vader's suit from Rogue One and applied it to Hayden Christensen after making some slight modifications, so the suit that you see in the series is indeed from Rogue One, but modified, she says. Now let me just stop her here quick of what she said. So, Deborah Chow is actually confirming here that the suit was from Rogue One, a Star Wars story, but slightly modified for the Kenobi TV show. Another very interesting, subtle, appearance, of course, in the Kenobi series is that we have the same exact suit, but it's different in the ways. Now, obviously, Hayden was talking about this a couple of weeks ago, that the suit was changed a little bit, so now we kind of get a better idea of exactly what that means. It's because it was really from Rogue One, and they modified it to fit Hayden Christensen, essentially, is what they did. That's basically what they did. I don't really see all that many design changes per se, but I digress. Now, on top of all of this, alright, so she goes on to say that George Lucas actually helped us with some slight differences that were to be made both to Vader's suit and to Vader's helmet. We also wanted to make things clear with the fans that we also salvaged some unused dialogue of James Earl Jones from Rogue One to be used as dialogue in the third episode. It was our full intention to do that in order to let things not go to waste with leftovers from Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Deborah Chow also unveils that the helmet/mask of Vader in the Kenobi series was completely brand new. They developed that right from scratch, and they did not reuse any kind of parts like that. Now let me just stop right here again quick. Now, the thing about Kenobi Episode 3 is that I think that the highlights, without a doubt, had everything to do with Vader being reassembled, meeting with the Inquisitors without the Grand Inquisitor. It was kind of weird not having the Grand Inquisitor, involved in the actual moment. You would think that they would want to have the Grand Inquisitor and Vader meet in live action form, but I guess not, and that was the one big mistake in my opinion. I still disagree that the Grand Inquisitor is dead. I don't really buy it just yet because it would be so canon breaking. It would be so astronomical to the Star Wars lore to screw that up, and I really don't believe that Joby Harold and Deborah Chow are that clueless, but who knows, right? I mean, they made it like he was dead, his eyes were open, he wasn't breathing. We gotta also remember that I believe that the Grand Inquisitor, to my knowledge, has 2 stomachs, so it's very likely that he's alive. Very, very likely. I think that he's getting a Cad Bane treatment in the Book of Boba Fett, who, by the way, I believe is also not dead as well. So, there you have it. That's what Deborah and Joby had to say about, things that you did not know about the third episode of the Kenobi TV show. They didn't really tap too much into the story about Reva and Leia and Kenobi and the connection to Rogue One, a Star Wars story and such. But anyways, guys, let me know let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.